So I have to ask, what you said you went through some additional schooling to be a nutritional health coach, right?
Yeah.
What is the difference between that and a nutritionist? Because you sound incredibly well versed. I mean, I'm sitting here talking to you like, wait, okay, I gotta.
Yeah, well, you remember when I said I think I'm just as qualified, probably.
At face value, I would say yes.
But, yeah. So, I mean, I'm not sure what's involved in becoming a certified nutritionist or dietitian. I mean, I think there's college coursework. Basically, it's like a 4-year degree or maybe a 2-year degree. I'm not exactly sure about the requirements. The training that I did was I did a whole year program that was in health coaching. So that's the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. That's sort of like probably the most well-known health coach training right now in America. There's lots of others, but that's the kind of the big one. It's based in New York. And then I also, simultaneous to that, did a program called Functional Diagnostic Nutrition that trained me in how to use several functional medicine lab tests. So gut microbiome testing and SIBO testing. We looked at organic acids testing and hormone testing and stuff like that. So that was like a deep dive training into those things and sort of the physiology behind what you're trying to impact there. And then I did a whole year training in this program called Full Body Systems. That's with the Functional Nutrition Alliance. They're based in Portland, Oregon. And they really just provided this missing piece for me, which was a deep dive into the physiology of food and diet and lifestyle. So, it's like a deep dive into the main systems of the body through a whole year. And it's really fascinating. And it's so important to understand how nutrients, vitamins, minerals, foods, diets affect the physiology. I mean, that's like we have to be able to read what things are doing for our clients in their bodies rather than just, like I see a lot of the green people that have gone through some of these other trainings, they're like, oh, I have my first client and they have this, and this. Should I give them this diet or that diet? I'm like, if you're asking that question, you shouldn't be working with clients yet. Like you have to have some idea of what you're trying to do. So, anyways, and then I was able to do a mentorship with the main mentor in that school, Andrea Nakayama, for another 6 or 9 months or something like that. Where it's sort of like a mastermind group where we just deep dive. But what was interesting is we didn't do more physiology in that, although we had a little of that, but it was more about the art and science of empathy and practice and like how to really meet people where they are and help them make changes. So it was sort of like advanced work really in coaching and more information isn't always what's needed for people. It's really more often about building relationships and helping them connect with their body and figure out sustainable ways to make changes that are going to work for them.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I think they should do or how I think they should do it. It's sort of the question is, so often becomes more like, what do you think you could do? Or, what do you think you could change?
It's almost like bringing them into the process.
Absolutely.
Instead of excluding them and just telling them, this is what you have to do. Here are the steps.
Exactly.
You're almost making them semi-accountable with you.
It's really about a partnership.
Yeah.
And really medical care should be like this. The best doctors, I don't know if you've spent much time with doctors, but the best doctors are the ones who are willing to work with you. I work with, personally, from my own health issues, I work with Dr. Peachy at North Coast Naturopathic Medicine in McKinleyville. And, we have a really good partnership. And, I go to her with things that are going on and I say, what do you think? And she says, I think we should do this. And I say, okay, well, I'm not so comfortable with that, but what about this? And so, we just have a conversation about it. Or I'll come to her and say, oh, I'm thinking about this thing because this is what I've observed. What do you think about that? Could we try this? And she's like, sure, we can try that. So, that partnership is where the magic happens. And without it, we can't really get anywhere.
Yeah, it's incredibly important.
Yeah.
You would think that medicine would, it should be that way. Mm-hmm. It should be mm-hmm. a more preventative approach.
Right.
But it's more, we've got the Band-Aid, so let's just wait for mm-hmm. something to happen and then we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's why, a majority of the country is obese and has all these health ailments is because we're waiting for the injury to happen so we can fix it instead of dealing with the issues leading up to it.
Absolutely.
That sounds fascinating. I mean, so you went through a lot of schooling for this, and you
Hmm.
got a mentorship program. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, because I was gonna say I'm sitting across from you, and like she is like you. It's easy to tell you know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to keep up over here. So I felt like I had to ask because it. I mean, I don't know what goes into being a nutritionist either, but I mean,
Yeah.
you definitely sound qualified to speak on everything you've spoken on.
Yeah, I mean, I have some gaps in my knowledge, and there's certain, health conditions that I don't work with, so I just really am not well versed in them. When somebody comes to me and they're like, I want to lose weight, I'm not a specialist in that.
Mm-hmm.
I refer those people to other people, but anything to do with the gut, I'm like there.
That's right up my
That's
alley.
right up my alley. And, to some degree, autoimmune conditions, I've really thought a lot about that and studied it. And the gut is so important to autoimmune disease. It's a really huge piece of dealing with it and addressing it. So,
Did you go into it focusing on the gut microbiome, or was that something you kind of found
no,
along the path?
no, I mean, it's really like the first thing that we talked about in full body systems, and just we discussed how important it is and all the different, of course, functions that it performs in our body. But I think the gut focus largely came out of my own health issues, because so much of my symptoms were centered around my digestive system. And, so it's kind of, I've just deep dived there because that's what I needed to try and learn more about my condition and what I could do for it. And so it's just where I've studied and learned the most. So, yeah. And I also, like I mentioned, I've struggled with anxiety and depression. Like when I first started, I thought that was where I wanted to focus, was with anxiety and depression. But then I found that people in that boat often were, they weren't really in a good place to make changes. Like they were just struggling with the anxiety and whatnot. It just wasn't the right niche for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but nowadays I'm finding that I am now getting more clients who have both, who have gut challenges and anxiety, and I just feel like I can speak to them really well because it's my story
Yeah.
too. It's like anxiety, it's like gut stuff compounded by anxiety, compounded by trauma, like all these things, they're all part of my story. So
Which is, I mean, it's almost invaluable having that because you are well versed and you do have this story and being able to relate to clients coming in. I mean, you can't beat that.
mm-mm.
Like having someone that's been in your shoes and it's
Yeah,
like, okay, I know where you are and I know it can get better, so let's do it. I'm here to
totally,
help. I
totally.
think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we all have our own unique magic that we are uniquely qualified for because of our own life experience. So we start there.
There you go.